Hi, my name is John Zimmerman, and I'm the Vice President of the Miami Valley Fair Housing Center. And today I'm going to talk about criminal background checks and the intersection with fair housing. And this is the first of a two-part series. This part is going to focus on the history and the principles of guidance on the use of criminal history when screening tenants. And the first time that we saw HUD really take a look at this was 2011, when then HUD Secretary Sean Donovan issued a letter, and it was to the public housing authorities. And he wanted to emphasize that formerly incarcerated individuals should be given second chances. And that's true. If we are to be a second chance country, we have to put our money where our mouth is. As time went on, HUD kept on looking at this issue and researching it and finding that formerly incarcerated individuals really have a difficult time in finding housing. So beginning in 2015, based on HUD Secretary Sean Donovan's first memo to everyone, they sent out a memo to public housing authorities and said you must exclude the use of arrest records in housing decisions. And so the purpose of that memo was to let HUD wanted to remind public housing authorities that they don't have to adopt a one-strike policy, and they wanted to remind everyone that we must safeguard the due process rights of applicants and tenants. And so when someone has returned to society and paid their dues to society after leaving incarceration, they should be given those second chances. And this was another way that HUD wanted to emphasize that. So what HUD did was that they developed a toolkit for housing reentry programs. And it is called It Starts with Housing. Public housing agencies are making second chances real. And they put out a best practice guide, and in the notes to this YouTube video is the link to that best practice guide. And that was in 2016 that they published that, but also that year they wanted to expand their guidance and go from public housing authorities to all housing providers. So in 2016, the General Counsel approved a memo, and again, we're also going to have that link in the notes to this video. And it said, while having a criminal record is not a protected characteristic under the Fair Housing Act, criminal history-based restrictions can violate the act if their burden falls more often on people in the protected classes under the Fair Housing Act: race, color, religion, national origin, gender, disability, or familial status. They also said that intentional discrimination occurs when housing providers treat two different people that are maybe one is white and one is black, and they treat them differently even though they have comparable criminal history. So that has been the guidance that everyone should be using since 2016. And so some of the HUD's guidance says this: policies that exclude persons based on criminal history must be tailored to serve the housing providers: 1, substantial; 2, legitimate; and 3, non-discriminatory interest, and take into consideration some factors. And I'm going to list 6 of those factors. The first is the facts or circumstances surrounding the criminal conduct, the age of the individual at the time of the conduct, evidence that the individual has maintained a good tenant history before and after conviction, evidence of rehabilitation, like drug and alcohol treatment, community supervision, Community ties and supports. For example, is an applicant in a family reunification project or a reentry program? And take into consideration, number 6, employment and training history. So with these things in mind, there are some best practices that we'd also like to remind everyone. First of all, housing providers should abandon a blanket policy that a business does not accept felons or refuses an applicant based solely on an arrest record. Second, they should implement a policy that one's business conducts criminal background checks in order to make informed decisions about an applicant's suitability. And 3, they should ensure that people who are denied housing due to criminal history screening have the opportunity for a speedy review, an individual assessment, and an appeal of that decision. So those are the basics of fair housing. As I said, there are links in the YouTube video, and I want to leave you with how you file a complaint locally here in the Dayton and Montgomery County area. From outside the city of Dayton, you should be calling the Miami Valley Fair Housing Center. You can write info@mvfairhousing.com, call 937-223-6035, or visit our website, which is listed right here, mvfairhousing.com. If you're from inside the city of Dayton, you could call the City of Dayton Human Relations Council or call their telephone number 937-333-1403. And you can visit their website, daytonhrc.org. Thank you for taking a look at this video, and please look forward to the second in the series. HUD in 2022 has placed several new memos out, and I'm going to do a new video about the 2022 guidance.